Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there is life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? If you have, you were on the fringe.
Welcome to another episode of On the Fringe. I'm Mark.
I'm Pam.
I'm Jess.
And
I'm Enzo.
Enzo, the fashion icon.
Yay!
We'll get to see more of his stunning fashion sense later tonight.
Yes, we will.
Before we get started, I'm going to take care of our housekeeping. And hey, this is Mark with What If Tomorrow and What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. Be sure to check out our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com, and look at our cool merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and more. Our affiliates are Duke Cannon, EMP Shield, My Patriot Supply, and Conflicted the Game. Or check out buymeacoffee.com/whatiftomorrow and buy us a coffee. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and share on both Facebook and YouTube. It helps get our content out to others and help our channel grow. Now on with the show. All right. So tonight we are going to discuss this last weekend's, Saturday's, Kansas UFO Day celebration in Genesio, Kansas. And it was a good time had by all, as far as I can tell. So
It was a lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun. They had, I would say they were down a little bit this year because it looked like it was going to rain for half the day. But they still had several.
First half of the morning was heavy overcast. We even ran into a little spitting rain just driving up there from Hutch. It was I can understand why a lot of people didn't, because then after the clouds broke, that it just was steamy up there, and that sun was just oppressive to stand in.
Well, you could see the moisture in the air when you looked down the road. Everything was all gray and stuff in the.
Yeah.
Could see the fingerprints in my forehead still when
So,
Enzo got a little toasty.
But it was a really good. It was a really good time. There were, I would say, several hundred people. You know, probably a good 100 at any given time. There throughout the day. So it was a pretty good turnout. And it's all to benefit the Geneseo City Museum and their awesome UFO collection that was started by the town doctor that donated his house for the city to use as a museum. Besides the UFO collection, there's lots of cool stuff in there. It's really a look into small town USA, 1950s and 60s. So, I mean, if you are in the area, I would definitely stop by. So,
Call first.
Yes, call first. They're not that. It's like open by appointment.
Bonus points if you find the small but highly coveted spam recipe, the award-winning spam recipe.
Apparently, Ian has issues with the way we say vehicle.
Vehicle?
Vehicle.
What word was that?
What? Vehicle?
Vehicle?
Vehicle.
We love you,
Is
Ian.
it like Beetlejuice? Should we say it 3 times? Vehicle, vehicle, vehicle. Is your bear gone yet?
He is gonna nope right on out of here. Oh my goodness.
We're not bad at all. We like Ian.
We might be a little evil. I don't know. I just need a cat. Where's the cat?
Your cat's like, no,
Nope, I'm out. Talk about
I'm
noping
out.
right out. So we started out the day. We actually started out the day before.
Oh.
Yep, there's the Roswell compass.
Enzo's got his mug.
So we started out Friday, driving up there.
Mine holds pins.
Yeah,
Actually. No,
There's
that's not
Jesse's.
it.
no, I went to go get a T-shirt, but
It's around here somewhere. I think it has
What's
drill
that?
bits in it or something.
Am I the only person that uses their mug for what it's supposed to be for? Drinking whiskey?
Yeah, because I have like 1,001 mugs already that are already in use. So
All right.
She's got 1,001 whiskey drinking mugs. Just one for drill bits.
Just one for
Yeah.
drill bits. I mean,
it's special.
why not? Well, I'm special, but most people call me Ed. So,
Nert.
so Kansas UFO Day. It was a pretty awesome. We had a lot of people stop by the booth, and I'd like to thank everybody who did stop by the booth. I really met some really interesting people, and some people from last year, some people who's new, never been there before. Shout out to my friend Teresa Johnson, who I had not seen in damn near 40 years. And we're standing there talking. It's like, I know you. So,
Yeah, she did not know Mark was going to be there or anything like that. She asked me if we had like a business card for our little group. It's like, yeah, sure, it's over here at the booth. Come on over, and handed her a thing. And she started looking at some of our posters and all the rest of that stuff. I was like, oh yeah, you guys are from Caney, Kansas. I'm from like Udall. I grew up around there. And then she looks over and sees Mark, and they make that connection.
it's always fun run into somebody from the old town there. So there we had pretty good turnout, I thought. So I'm gonna bring this up real quick, see if I'm smart enough to run the technology tonight. I am not always smart enough to run the technology, but here we go. There's how we were set up.
There we go. We brought pictures.
We brought pictures. We've got lots of pictures tonight. So if you guys are watching live, you can see some of our pictures from the show.
Yeah.
The house behind us, that is the Genesio, or I can't pronounce it right. Genesio
Museum.
Genesio City Museum.
Yep.
They have a really nice collection, so do stop by. So I just went blank. Someone help me out here.
Well, while you're trying to fill your blank, I'm going to add that not all of these photos belong to us. I just want to put that out there. There was a lot of people taking photos and sharing them with Jim, and they got passed over to us. And so
If
this is a photo of yours, shout out to you.
Yes.
Yep. And these are all on our SEK Bordertown Paranormal Society Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go on there and just cruise through these. Here's the Geneseo City Museum logo.
And if you see a photo on there that is yours, be sure to let us know so we can give you credit after the fact.
Yep. Put it up in the comments, whatever platform you're watching this on. We had a lot of stuff shared to the site. So, I mean, I had a ball. And look at this motley crew.
Yes. Look at us all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, raring for the weekend. This is before we were completely
This was
worn
Friday
out.
before we left Wichita with Enzo and tow. This was before we got worn out and exhausted. And I am definitely starting to feel my age. Travel is no longer the fun thing that I used to think it was.
It was worth it, though. absolutely 100% worth it.
Oh, it absolutely was. So we got to
I'm the weird.
Geneseo.
I like traveling like that, just driving. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I got to sleep in my own bed. But it was a good time. They had a whole slew of vendors there, and it looked like the vendor Martian Market, I believe they called it, was full all the time. I mean,
yes, there was always people that were over there shopping and wandering through. And Enzo's friend Mel, she came and she sells
Lanyards?
lanyards. Thank
Lanyards.
you.
She's the lanyard lady.
She is the lanyard lady,
Oh, I
and she had tons, and they were so cool.
oh yeah, I had to go browse through them. I got a whole pile of them.
I think we all bought at least one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep. So
I got a
yeah.
cool Ouija board one. I'm hoping I didn't like summon Zozo with it swinging around my neck.
I mean, well, let's hope not. I don't really feel like calling for Ghostbusters.
We're the
Right?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we have nobody to call. It's us.
Well, if Zozo comes after us, I mean, you only have to outrun me.
I did like how they had us positioned this year.
I did too.
Yeah, they had us under those shade trees, so it wasn't too horrible.
And I like that they ditched the little teeny tiny stage and tent with the podium.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
I think
inefficient.
we kind of started something there last year by just you got out there with the crowd. You don't need this big fancy thing. Just
No,
be out there with the people.
I enjoyed the crowd was very good with questions, and it was a lot of fun. Here's another picture of the front of the museum here. So they had their UFO banner out.
Yeah, they had a nice backdrop to take photos in front of. And Jess, she brought tons of sidewalk chalk, and she did up a really cool little bit of artwork there.
That's
And there were people all day long taking pictures with it too. 'Cause
Yay!
it's right there
They
for
have,
McGord to play too.
A quick video of that if we want to watch it.
Oh yeah,
Oh, sure, go ahead.
it'd be cool.
There's a video.
Jess is like, oh
no.
boy.
I'm gonna see my butt in the air.
I did not post any pictures of your butt.
And the knee pad jokes abounded all weekend.
That music you hear in the background is a UFO-shaped steel drum.
Good job.
Oh,
It's a hand pan is what it's
a
called.
hand pan is what it's called.
Board
And
approves.
it was absolutely, the guy was actually.
I actually
really
zoom in
amazing.
on him right after this.
So, what was his name?
Dan. Hand
Yeah,
pan
Dan
Dan.
the Hand Pan Man.
Yep.
Yeah. At one
yes.
point, he was playing
Even the
Barbie
wildlife liked it.
girl.
Mhm.
Yes, the kitty
Cat
like
Oh,
just
yeah,
kept
that
getting
cat.
closer and closer.
he played Barbie girl.
He
He
also saw
played
Barbie.
Under the Sea, which was really good.
Oh yeah, I mean it was very soothing.
Oh,
But have some action shots as it progressed.
yep.
Yay.
There was gonna be a little bit more to it, but I was fighting the sprinkles.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I just
sprinkling
tried to
pretty good.
hurry up and get done what I had. Yeah, and it took a little bit longer than what I thought. The sidewalk wasn't as clean as I needed it, so I had to spend some time degrassing and sweeping.
Yeah,
But it came out fun, and then the best part, I mean, I like doing the chalk drawings, but the best part is watching the kids go out there all day long and add their stuff to it. So I took a picture later on in the day down the sidewalk, so you can kind of see all the drawings that people were doing. Even the adults got in on it, so that was fun.
yeah, yep. Let me.
There's all the vendors.
Yeah, they had a pretty good market set up.
Yeah. There was another line of them back behind there, too.
Yeah.
Yep, and down the side where we were.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but there was just an amazing amount of really interesting people with all their stories out and about. So
People were starting to come in, and everyone would find their spot under the shade tree there. We had these tables set up for the morning show that we chatted at. There we are.
Yeah, we got to speak
there
two
we go.
different times. The first time we spoke on UFO flap or the airship flap, I'm sorry, of 18, help me, Jess, 96, 97,
Uh-huh.
the right years. And then we spoke on the Kansas UFO triangle, which everybody really seemed to enjoy.
Yeah, everybody kept
Rare
coming up
picture
to
of
the map and trying to
Jim.
read
Rare picture of Jim without his hat on there in the
yeah.
bottom left of the
Yes.
screen.
That doesn't
It was
happen
that
very
warm.
It was that warm.
It's me getting serious about something. I don't know what I was talking about there.
Mhm.
Neither did we.
I was making it up. It was some BS.
It was very windy, too, and I couldn't keep my notebooks down for nothing.
It was the our view of the crowd. We had about 30-ish or so folks for that first one, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we had a few more than that for the second one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that shot didn't tell the whole story. They spread out clear almost to the street to the
Yeah.
side there. Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. There was a bunch of people over there too. There may have been about 40 people there
yeah.
at any
Maybe.
given time. So,
Yeah. And there was a lot of people that just kind of came and went. They'd come in, listen for a little
Well,
while, and then go shop and then come
Be in
back.
that damn map.
There's Vanna.
Listen to him talk. That damn map. He was the one that wanted the damn map.
I was
but it was
that
a
we
good map.
made up this map of the 1972 UFO flap, the Kansas Triangle there in the western part of Kansas, and all the red hash marks there. Those are highlighting the areas that all reported sightings of pretty much the same UFO that entire time.
Mhm.
Yeah, spread out over time. That's what I found amazing about it, is because they all pretty much describe the same phenomenon
Mm-hmm.
for that whole time period, and it appears to be the same one from. Help me out.
Dighton,
No, before that,
Delphos.
Delphos. It appeared to be fairly similar to the Delphos sighting.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
I was being the jerk in the group, but I was being a stinker. It's like, we really should have this map. You know, we could at least, I'll walk it around and show the crowd, because we didn't have, you know, like a big screen or any kind of thing or computers or anything like that to set up any kind of thing like that. This was all outside.
A last minute
And,
Walmart print. Thank you, Walmart, for
Yep. Thanks to Walmart for slapping this out pretty quick. And I did exactly that. When it came to be that part, I literally walked around amongst the people there so they could see it. And everybody loved it, because the first thing they would do was they'd look on the map to find their little town.
And
Our place found a sighting. Yeah.
this
it was fun.
triangle is only about 25 minutes, wouldn't you say, from Genesio?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Even less. Probably.
Even less
Some
to,
of
it.
to the outside edge. So, I mean, so
Shout out to the Walmart associate kid who printed this out and gave me the strangest look as he handed it to me. Yeah,
That's funny.
poor kid. I'm
But,
hoping he wasn't from one of those areas. Like, he saw it when it came out of the printer
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh crap!"
Oh my God!
But one of my favorite interactions with folks that would come up to our little booth that we had set up there was later in the afternoon. Two young gentlemen, like mid to late teens, came up, and they had missed all of the stuff. They'd just come in, and it was probably like, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they, I was telling them about what they had missed, what we had talked about in the morning and what we had talked about in the afternoon. And I was telling them about that triangle, from 1972, that UFO flap. And we had the map kind of like sitting up there where everybody could see it. And his eyes just got like really big. And as I described some of the shenanigans that went on that there in 72, and he points at the map and is like, I'm from Dighton, which is the corner of one of the triangle, the 3 parts of the triangle. And my grandmother used to tell us this story about how as she was a kid in the back of the car, as they're driving down the highway or down the road rather at night, and this giant like pool of light, just blinding white light, covered the entire car and the road right around them as they were driving, and it was following. It was like directly over their car as they were going. They were trying to speed up and try to get away from it and all that.
That's
and
just
then
not a story, kid.
yeah, and I was pointing at the map and just like, she was right. She was not making it up. That's pretty similar to a lot of the stories that came out of that flap.
Heard a couple people say that. I've heard stories about that. So
yeah,
and
even Jim Gray, who hosts the whole thing, was like, "Wait a minute, some of my stuff kind of interacts with that."
Yeah,
you can start seeing the gears turn when he started connecting the dots. Hey, wait a minute. I didn't hear about these other ones, but mine was about that time.
Yeah.
So
it's situations like that remind us that what we do is important. That bringing this information, as old as it is, back into the the public zeitgeist is important because people are starting to make those connections again. They've heard the story when they were little. You poo-poo it away because grandma saw a UFO, and then you hear somebody you don't even know, reaffirm that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
with a bunch of other reports to go along with it that sound exactly like grandma's story. Very cool.
Yeah, and there is a ton of those. The phenomenon in question liked to follow cars around. It would chase kids around late at night, meeting them back at their house when they thought they'd lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
stole a cow.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring this up. This is so cool. So I'm in the museum clubhouse. It's for the guys that produced the documentary Hellier, Greg and Dana Newkirk. And Jess and I and Jennifer had gone late last year to a show that they had in Wichita and saw him. And I'd met someone there in the audience that I sat next to. Well, she ended up coming with her husband to Kansas UFO Day. And so she had posted this on the museum page. She's there representing Hellier or in the museum. And I was like, dude, I'm a speaker. It didn't even dawn on me who she was at the time until we get back. And unfortunately, we missed them because Jess and I had gone to get something to eat. But they did talk to Enzo. And Enzo was like, yeah, they just stepped away, But I was like, oh, was it the guys from the museum? And he said, yeah. Yeah, I barely missed him, too.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. But it was so cool. So I got to say, hey, because I was like, dude, we're the speakers there. I'm a speaker there. At least she was nice enough to come back and say, duh, I know.
So,
but yeah, that was fun.
I can't wait till next year's show, honestly, or next year's event.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited every year we go. I always meet lots of really cool people.
And it's so fun because we learn things when we're there too. We learned all about a serpent intaglio that we had absolutely no idea existed. Yeah. Which
then we found
the four of us is kind of surprising. Do what?
Then with a little research, we found more that seemed to be connected.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, don't have any pictures of those up on here, but we hope to do that in the future. I foresee a road trip with a drone to get some
something.
All right.
Something else that happened at the festival I was really excited about. Zerf ended up playing some of those old reel-to-reels of people's experiences from back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, which they're going to play at the con this year too. So
Yes, absolutely. So there's the serpent that's near. It's on the uh, Genesio Ridge or Uprising.
Mhm.
So it's not too far from here. It's in the Rice County Museum. Is that?
It's in Rice County. It's located in the City of Lions Museum.
Yeah, they've got pictures and
We
all
know
that
where
sort
it's
of-
at. We drove right past it. Didn't know.
we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Tell
Oh
that
my
story. That's
gosh.
a wild story.
The insanity.
Well, we're driving home. I always follow whatever my stupid GPS thing on my phone says to do without question, because it usually takes me where I need to go. Not necessarily where I want to go, but where I need to be. But leaving Geneseo there at the top of the page, followed the normal route, and then it takes us down this other road that you don't normally go down, more of a straight line shot. And we get to this weird point, and as we're going past it, well, the full story is we encountered it. We get down to the bottom here where you see this weird cutout that the bridge was out. The bridge over Dry Creek was out. And is the name of the creek there. But it wasn't in my because I use Waze for my car navigating. And there was nothing in there about a bridge being out, because it was under construction. They had giant construction signs that you could see far off. It's like, all right, I guess we'll go this way. So we made this weird box shape, and it took us right back to the road, right to the other side of where it was blocked off for the other side of it. So then we just continued south. And while after I get home, I started looking up, where is this serpent intaglio at? As it turns out, we drove right past it.
Yeah, it's right off the road. Too, isn't it?
The road that goes past that property is right there. We if we had known to have looked, we would have at least seen like the terrain part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's crazy, the coincidences that happen.
Americans really hate corners until they don't, like the Romans. Yep. Well, it was funny because Jess was riding with Enzo, and they left out before Mark and I did. And we beat them back to the Airbnb. And I was like, okay, I know I drive fast, but I don't drive that fast. I didn't think. They weren't too far behind us, though. But yeah, then we found out that they had this whole little side quest.
Take a trip through a wormhole there. We were making all the jokes. We're like, okay, what time is it? We're going to have missing time. I don't see any like biplanes in the air or zeppelins. I don't see any futuristic looking ships. We haven't gone through a time skip. We went through the whole bastion of wacky things that can happen when you leave the path well traveled.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we were on some like old, like just farming red dirt roads that will only have like a single car on it because you can't get, two through. It's big enough for a tractor. And I was just like, wow, if you start hearing some crazy fiddle music, let's turn around.
Yeah.
There's banjo. You better go.
Step on the gas or turn around. One of the two.
Yeah, I made a joke. There was cows everywhere, and even they looked like we weren't supposed to be there. They were like, what are you guys?
Shocked there was a vehicle driving by.
Mm.
Yeah, we had no idea we'd driven past that. It wasn't even kind of on our minds. Jim had kind of mentioned it, and I think all of us kind of logged it away as like, that doesn't sound...
We'll investigate that when we get home, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
We'll look that up on the internet. And then, as it turns out, we literally were right beside it.
We were right beside it.
Yeah, it's not
That's
far.
crazy.
It's not far at all. So yeah, I foresee another research trip, possibly a multi-day research trip, because there's several in Sedgwick County that we found out about. So
Y'all, this is so nuts because between the 4 people that you see on your screen right here, I cannot believe not a single one of us knew about this or any of them because, we do so much research and I'm huge into archaeology. Jess, she grew up with a grandpa that was a geologist and, did all
Yeah.
these things and traveled everywhere, and he drilled things into her, to know of the area, and it's just
Yeah.
wild. When we got home, that's the first thing we did was started pulling books that we have on our
We
shelf.
didn't even make it home.
No, Jess
We-
was on the iPad immediately on the way home.
I was just reading it out to them so they could hear it. So
And we're freaking
When
out.
I-
Like, oh my God.
When I sent you that
we're
map,
nuts.
what did you think when I sent you that map? It's like we literally drove past this thing.
By the time we got to that point, because we just ran into so many weird red flags doing the research on the way home, every time I found a new article, it brought up stuff that just kind of messed with what we know so much that by the time you sent it it was just the cherry on top. It was just
We were all, our minds were already splattered all over the inside
Yeah.
of the glass. I had no
We-
duct
we
tape
s-
to keep my head together.
yeah, the entire trip home we were just flabbergasted. That's
We
our
were
flabbers
literally
were
still-
gasted.
We were literally still
Yeah.
talking about it when we got back to town.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
3.5 hours later.
Because we were like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do after I unload everything in the house, I'm pulling my books. Because I know I have a book on Kansas rock art. I know I have a book, I've got Gloria Farley's In Plain Sight, which Gloria Farley is the lady that started the original research on the Heavener runestone down in Heavener, Oklahoma. And she kind of branched it out from there. The more people found out she was interested, the more she got into the stories, and people would bring things to her and say, hey, what do you think of this? And hey, there's petroglyphs over here, So she ends up spending the rest of her life dedicating it to this, basically, to going to all these places. She got in with Barry Fell, which he wrote America BC, which talked about European visitors to the United States, to the continent before Columbus, basically. So there's all kinds of stuff. And for this not to be included in her book blows me away, because she wrote the book in the 80s, I believe. I don't remember exactly the publication date, but she was well deep within the research in the 80s. And this had
Yeah.
been rediscovered. What did we see? 1913 or 1903?
1913.
1913. And then the Smithsonian did know about it because they were they were
That was
doing
in the
some archaeological digs
Yeah,
on
they were
a
working
couple
on
of
the-
places,
They were working on the mounds and the wigwam sites.
which were only 2 miles away, something. It wasn't very
Yeah, it was
far.
literally like right there. I was telling Pam, I just thought it was completely laughable. I have a lot of the geological and archaeological books that date back to that time. In fact, I have one fantastic one that's called The Archaeology of the Great Plains. And it's literally all of the stuff they have found over the years across the Great Plains area. And frankly, that should be in there. If there is an intaglio, just one within that area, it should have been talked about. And they literally talk about all the work the Smithsonian did right there.
and didn't go look at it.
No, they didn't touch it. And we actually found an article online on the way home that stated that the Smithsonian did know about it, but they didn't think it was worth mention.
Yeah, they didn't think it was worth going to look at.
And look at this.
Sorry,
I mean,
that
the
looks
picture that
it
we
can only be
showed
seen
is
from the
huge.
air, folks.
Because it wasn't really properly investigated from an archaeological sense till like the 80s, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
When someone deigned to do it.
Yeah,
Malcolm? I think his name was
Professor
Malcolm.
Nebraska
Yeah.
came down.
Well,
Yeah.
he had seen it. He had been down. If I recall right, hadn't he been down when the Smithsonian was investigating? And he had seen it, and he wanted to check into it, and then that's why it got researched in the first place.
He was interested in the serpent mounds out in Ohio, and was like, there's one of these in Kansas too. And so, yeah, that's kind of what got him on the way. And then we just found something on the way home. What was it? What was he called? The man, started with a P.
Oh.
The Pizarro man? Something.
The name of the town.
Yeah. It was a complete intaglio man made of 100 stones.
Yeah. Sounds like the Great Plains should be hidden in the Smithsonian Archive. There's history. That's
Even
the
back
truth.
then, it was a flyover place. No one pays attention
Well,
to it.
the name of the museum in Lyons is the Coronado. Can't remember the name of the tribe that became the Wichita tribe.
Quivira.
The Coronado Quivira Museum, because apparently Coronado spent time with these people when he was coming through the Great Plains. So,
wow.
The intaglio itself is only about 600 years old or 700. So it's not.
May want to.
We
didn't really define. Maybe not everyone in the audience knows what an intaglio is. Maybe we should describe that.
Oh, so it's a geoglyph. It's basically like when you think of like the Ohio, the Great Serpent Mound. It's the big mounded up area that's shaped like a snake. Well, an intaglio is the exact reverse of that. Instead of it being mounded up and created, it's dug out and created. So the entire snake, it looks like it's supposed to be eating an egg in its mouth.
Pull up that picture again, Mark.
Sure. Hang on.
Yes.
Or whoever that was.
Yeah, I'll share it real quick.
Yeah.
Share it and I'll post it up.
It's dug down. I think they said about 1.5 feet is how deep it sets. And the interesting thing about intaglios is, as you can see here,
you can see how big it is. There's a pickup.
This here isn't a good representation. So this picture was from the gentleman who first started working on it. He filled it in with lime, I believe, white lime, so that it could be so it could be really visible, and they could really photograph it well from above to get the true shape of it. The interesting thing about these intaglios in the plains that we've been finding, we found out there's actually some caterpillars and birds and some other stuff. They're planted in with a very different grass than what is outside of it. It's full of buffalo grass. It's a very thin, wispy.
It's a native grass, yeah.
Yeah, native grass. Because of that, nothing else kind of grows in there. It's a very thick, rooted grass. So it kind of keeps its shape that way when it doesn't have weeds and other things pulling.
There's wild onions growing out of the egg.
Yeah, the big circle is nothing but wild onion that was purposely planted there. So I'm still trying to dig into the history of it. Like they said, we're going to have to make a trip just to the museum just to do some research.
Are kind of egg shaped, so that's probably intentional.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a food crop, so yeah, the egg is supposedly, according to the experts, supposed to represent the plenty of nature and that sort of thing. And then by planting onions in it, a food crop that are kind of that shape, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
From what I was reading last night is the basic part of it is it's basically like a marker. It's the mouth part is like pointing towards those other
villages,
the villages
you're talking about.
Yeah.
And basically it's an indicator of water and like food or that way kind of a thing.
Yeah, but it can only be seen from the air. Really.
Which is, the interesting part. Ian said, looks rather like the hill figures in the UK that date back thousands of years. It does.
It really does.
We got so super excited because we're like, we've always been like, Kansas is cool, but we don't have cool things like this, And now to find out we do, and we have. And who knew? Yes. We didn't.
I already have a drone in my Amazon account, so we can go investigate some of these.
Prime Day starts tomorrow, buddy.
Woohoo! It does.
Unfortunately, I've been off work for a week, so it'll have to wait for another week or two.
It was called the Pinnaky Stone Man.
Pinnaky, that was it.
Pinnaky.
I was seeing if I could pull up a picture of it or something.
Some of the picures that I
we
saw
learned
online,
a lot that's not UFO related.
Yeah,
at UFO Day.
Almost like a side conversation that Jim kind of threw out there of just there's a lot of mysterious stuff around here, and all four of us are like, it's a what? Where is this?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get it off of here. Stop.
Watch us struggle with technology.
Oh, yeah. It's fabulous. Okay. I think I found it.
All right.
Oh my god.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. You found it. I couldn't get my phone to work. So that's the Pinicky Man. I didn't even know about him either. And he's
And
right
it's
by
interesting that it's kind of
Pinoky,
set out
Kansas.
in such a square fashion.
Yeah, let me scroll down. Nope, that's it.
So
Yeah.
Huh.
It says the Pinicky Stone Man is a 60-foot by 30-foot limestone cobble outline in the shape of a man, situated on a high ridge overlooking the South Fork of the Solomon River in Graham County. The Stone Man lays with outstretched arms and legs, staring up at the heavens. At present, it is the only known stone human effigy in Kansas, although many similar to it are found in the Northern Plains region. Others in Kansas may have been destroyed as the land was cultivated and used for farming. The first written account of the Stone Man from a Euro-American came in 1879 when Professor S.W. Williston, an explorer sent by the Peabody Museum in Connecticut, happened upon the site and wrote about it in the Kansas City Review of Science and Industry. His account seems to describe the Pinicky Stone Man, even though his sketch appears a bit different than our modern-day drawings. In 1982, the Pinicky Stone Man was admitted to the National Register of Historic Places because of its uniqueness and its importance to telling our nation's history. So there we go. Didn't even know about that.
That's it.
Not only did we speak, we actually learned while we were there.
Big time.
And now we have a whole new bucket of worms to investigate.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly like, okay, we see a deep dive in our future on something like this. So
Because while it's not necessarily fringy, we do like lost history.
Big time.
Do. So I foresee sometime in the very near future us returning to our lost history and hidden history.
I actually think it's very fringy. Because why would you need to create something that big that can only be seen from the sky at a time when you couldn't fly?
True. That's true. That's true.
And in the middle of the plains, it's not like it could be looked over off of a mountain or something because there's nothing. There's nothing there that high.
Enzo's right. We were a flyover state even before plane.
Right.
What was flying over? What did they see in the sky? And so that there's a mirage near there that is reoccurring.
Yes.
Near Genesio. Or Genesio. I'm sorry. I'm butchering the language and the name of the town. Shame on me. Jim's going to come.
What was that place called? It was the Geneseo what?
Geneseo Ridge or Uprising?
Ridge.
It was the Ridge. It was the Great. Was it the Great Plains Uprising or something? Grand. I don't remember.
It was the Geneseo or Great Plains Geneseo Ridge or something like that. It's a tectonic formation, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be covered in petroglyphs, and which isn't odd for Kansas. Kansas is full of petroglyphs. Mm-hmm. We have some very near us.
We do.
We've got Council Rock and stuff like that. So, something else I would love to see. The problem with Kansas is a lot of these sites, the public don't ever get to see because they're all on private property.
Yeah.
People in Kansas just tend to keep to themselves, and they don't open a lot for the public to see. So you get to another state and you find something interesting like that, and they'll slap a
historical marker on it and a little
historical marker and a gift shop by it, and then anybody is free to come by and see it. But in Kansas, they just don't do it.
No, they don't. They don't want the notoriety.
The Great Bend aspect. That's what I was trying to think of. There's that plus, and then the Geneseo
upheaval or uprising.
Ridge or uprising or
something like that. So that's why I'm thinking about investing in the drone. I can in range from the roadside there to get some good photos.
I hope we're allowed to. The Wichita tribe just bought that.
They did.
To get it
They
shot
don't
down with
exactly know the
arrows.
deal. Yeah.
They
Last
just
year.
purchased it last year, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was something that we were reading on. They are wanting to, it sounds like make an educational situation out of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they want it.
I hope they do.
They'll do that for more than just the
Well,
tribe. and-
Because some of the
I can
aerial
see them
shots,
doing
it
that.
looks like there's other figures nearby.
Mhm.
It
But
does.
they just need to be kind of
excavated.
uncovered, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian said, "Wow, never knew you guys had hill figures like that. Almost like the Long Man of Wilmington or Cern Abbas.
We didn't
Even
know
Alaska
either.
Linus.
We live here.
We didn't know either.
No
Yeah,
idea.
It is. And the reason why so many have disappeared is because the stones they use are just right for using in a foundation.
and a lot of the if you don't have a trained eye, you may not realize what they are
Well,
until
look, there's
it's
some
too
more
late.
stones I can use in my fireplace.
Yeah,
So that a lot of them just disappeared.
I know. There's another intaglio of a serpent in Kansas, and the majority of it has been gone due to agricultural pursuits. It's like there's only a third of it left.
Yep. It's crazy stuff. Had no idea. We had a very shocking drive home. Every time I thought I'd seen it all, I'd find another article and be like, wait a minute. Listen to this.
And wait a
It was
minute,
just
wait a
crazy.
minute, Clyde Ernest. He's got the same name you have, Pam. I was like, oh, I had no idea.
So
Probably
it
another
was
one
a
of our
it
relatives.
was definitely a rewarding trip for both aspects of the trip.
It was. It was. And we got an opportunity, some of the questions that were asked. One of them was, what have you guys been up to that's extremely interesting in the last year or so? And we did talk a little bit about ghost hunting and some of those things on top of everything else. But the main focus was UFOs. So we got to share a lot with that. And Enzo is our resident expert. So we deferred back to him on quite a few things for clarification.
It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of these questions. A lot of it having to do with things we had just talked. Usually, whenever we do any kind of talk or anything like that, then people would like, even though we allow, we specifically slot time out at the end of any one of our talks is ask whatever question you want. Some people get embarrassed still and stuff like that. So, but they would make a beeline for our little display that we had set up. Then they're like, "What about this? Have you ever heard of this?" You know that.
Yes,
But,
we spent
it was-
most
it
of
was
our
still
day
fun.
fielding questions and stuff like that.
It was a lot of fun, and that's actually my favorite part of anything like that is just talking to the people. I what I say, I already know it. It's boring to me. Maybe people will get a chuckle out of one of my half-assed jokes or something like that. But I like hearing what other people have observed and seen themselves, and honestly, to give them that platform. I mean, today, UFOs, and today it's a little different. It's a little easier to kind of be open about that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But in that kind of environment, bring it on. We want to hear all of it. I want to hear all of it, at least. I won't stuck that into all you guys, but I love hearing other people's experiences and what their thoughts on it are.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we host our Paracon every year, is to get people together like that and have these discussions, which is, by the way, I'm going to shameless plug right here.
Yay.
Yay!
Saturday, September 27th in Caney, Kansas. If you're in the area and have time to come out, Bordertown Paracon right here in Caney, Kansas. Everybody has a good time. It's a laid back environment, and we've got lots of fun things going on. Raffles, we've got panels, presentations, workshops. It's just a really good time, and it's an opportunity for you to come share your stories or ask, did I really see what I think I saw?
Yeah. And if you're not in the area, we throw them up live on YouTube
Mhm.
and our Facebook page. So
Yep.
And in fact, if you're interested, all of last year's and the years before that are up on our Facebook page. If you scroll back through our wall a few years, you're going to find all of it. You can go back and watch all the old
You can
panels.
watch all of our lives.
Last year's are on YouTube for sure. So yeah.
And you can actually hear last year's. We invested in some sound equipment that made it a little better. We'll try to make it better this year.
Going back to Geneseo, though, the museum itself, it's really fun because when you walk in, it's so unassuming. You go inside and you're just, like Jess said earlier, it's really a mixture of the 40s, 50s, 60s, Americana, basically. And I know there's the doctor's name. His name was Elmer Jansen. And he was a super interesting dude. He was into everything.
He really
had so many interests. He was a ventriloquist, so there's some ventriloquist dummies. He actually, I think he was a chiropractor. Am I right, Enzo, on that?
Yes.
And he was a medical doctor and a chiropractor, and
and he
homeopath.
Yes.
Yep. Homeopathic studies. Yep.
And he wrote in Braille. He was able to do that. He collected French bulldogs, which was pretty cool. And then on top of his collections, there's also Geneseo city history. Lots of stuff from their high school, and it's
everything. They have every yearbook since 1912 or whenever it was when they opened the school there. Granted, the first few years there was only like 2 students that graduated because there were only 2 students.
Basically pamphlets.
But they have their yearbook photos for every year that they've had a school in that town. And
you can see a picture of Jim when he was a senior.
Yeah.
Yes, it's adorable. He was a cutie pie.
If you go on our YouTube channel, I posted raw footage of our walkthrough.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Yep.
So you can go through there and get kind of an idea of what's in the museum. It is an awesome spot.
Yeah.
It's very
cool. The UFO room, you want to run in there and like rip stuff off the wall and run with it so you can decorate your own house.
Yes.
The coolest stuff.
I want copies.
Yeah.
You want that space dog hair is what you want.
Oh, yeah.
There's some
the stuffed dog at the front.
Yeah. I absolutely love that they have in their possession the original AT&T switchboard container or whatever you want to call it, like the instrument package for it, which is it's like almost the size of like a stand-up arcade kind of a cabinet. Just the old stained wood with the fabric venting and stuff like that, and they're loaded with tubes on the end there. When you can see where they had to take the wire and physically connect it in here, and then connect the other end to the linkage to some other house or wherever. And I think it had like 12 or 16 lines or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't
back
huge,
in the thing.
no.
Yeah, it was very small for what it was, but for for that area, that was like, we're stepping into the 20th century with this.
Absolutely.
Right. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, go check that out on our YouTube channel.
It's got a whole bunch of really technical drawings by a gentleman named John Dean. He was from I just lost the name of the little town, Nickerson, Kansas, which is very close to Geneseo, and he was an engineer. And
he was a drafting teacher, wasn't he?
Yes, he was an engineer. He was a drafting teacher, and I think he taught in Hutch for a time as well. And so he had the chops to make these really detailed oriented drawings. And yeah, he made some really cool ones. And he had like the little drawings of like what he said were the vehicles that they used on Mars and, different places. And he actually wrote a book called Trips to Mars. And it's got a little bit longer title than that, but it's really neat. They have some really cool 50s, 60s books that were written on UFOs. And like Enzo said, there's the dog hair from two different dogs. One was named King and one was named Queenie. They were supposed to have been brought back from Mars and gifted to, what's his name? I'm losing his name. Buck Nelson.
Buck Nelson, yeah.
Yes, to Buck Nelson, who ended up living in Mountain View, Arkansas, or Missouri. Is it Missouri? Can't remember. Losing my. It's been a while since I've looked at this specific information, but yeah, he actually started UFO festivals at his hometown at that time, and Doc Jansen went. That's how they got acquainted, and he said they originally started visiting him because they would get water. They would land their ships and get water from his spring, and Doc Jansen actually had. There's in the museum a bottle of spring water from that particular spring. And, there's a decent amount of it has gone away, but it's still there and you can see it. And like, there's the dog hair is there, and there's just tons and tons of pictures and all these drawings, and just, it's the last thing you would expect to see such a cool collection in a small museum like that. But it blows you away.
Yeah.
Just this one lone guy, basically. You had a couple guys that were helping a little bit, especially like, in the artwork department. That some of those drawings that are up on the wall are so technically precise of, motherships, and even like the stuff of like the solar system and things like that they have up on the wall. It's pretty amazing. But basically, it was this one guy, Doc Jansen, that would he'd read a story about how somebody saw something weird fly over their, hover over their field, and he would like write them a letter because, 50s, 60s, not everybody out there in the rural areas even had a phone, much less, a TV or radio or anything else. So a lot of times he had to drive out there to actually talk to him.
I remember having a party line in the 70s.
Yeah.
You were fancy if you had a phone back then.
Yeah. So in the 50s and 60s in rural America, having a phone line was not really super duper common.
Yep.
So
here's actually
for him to go. I'm really anxious to hear, like in detail, because I didn't really get a chance to closely listen to some of the recordings they played, but he had a old reel-to-reel tape recorder that he would bring along and interview some of these people, the things that they saw and what they experienced and all of that. He was a genuine UFO investigator that would go, in the 50s, with, no computers. There was no place to look things up at the snap of a finger, like on your phone or anything like that. The phone itself was probably very little information there because not everybody had them, because of course these things land out in the middle of nowhere. So he'd usually write letters and find out exactly where they were and if it was worth investigating. So this is all taking like weeks and weeks to happen for round trip letters to make it out there and back, and then for him to drive out there and see what was going on.
Right. And one of the things I enjoy about it is the look into the UFO culture of the day, because a lot of these tales, when you go to looking at them, they're very fanciful. So if these stories aren't made up by the people who told the story, then that means that they were being told the story from the visitors. Which I have heard that. I mean, why would you trust somebody that, showed up on a flight? They're not going to tell you what they're really up to. They're going to tell you what you think you want to hear. So even if these stories were made up, not necessarily all of them were made up by the people who are accused of making them up. I think a lot of these stories were, if true, were fed to them by others. I don't know who other. They could have been the Men in Black for all I know.
Maybe so.
So-
This book right here, it was written by John Dean, and this picture on the front of it is one of the drawings that he did of one of the vehicles that um, were driven around Mars. And I don't know if I have a better picture of it. This is from our trip last year, like a year and a half ago, the first time we went to the museum. And right here, you can see there's the hair of the dog.
Hair of the
Right
space
there.
dog. Yeah.
Yep, the little space dog. Oh, that's a nice upside down one. Yay.
That's a
Oh, there
good
we go.
job.
I
Hey,
did
there
get it
it is.
better. There's King, the dog from the planet.
Yeah, a lot of the stories from back in that time frame, a lot of them involved, these craft setting down somewhere and occupants getting out that looked very similar to humans, and maybe with some odd facial quirks or something like that. And a lot of them were offering free rides there back then. That seemed to be a common theme for a lot of encounters. Or some kind of like really basic barter thing for like some water out of their well, or
Mhm.
some
Right,
kind of
right.
like plants or something like that. There's the story. What was it, up in Michigan, where the guy gave him some water and they gave him like these little crappy
Oh, the
buckwheat style
pancakes.
pancakes. Yeah,
Yep. That's funny.
is it in exchange?
And there's a little booklet here that's in blue, My Trip to Mars, the Moon, and Venus, that Buck Nelson wrote. And he used to sell them at his UFO conventions, I think for like $1.50. You can actually find them online now in PDF form. And they're pretty fascinating. And while we were at Genesio this last weekend, I don't recall who was telling us, but there's an artist that has done a graphic novel off of this book. And they're for sale. He just got them up on Amazon. They're $9 for a 26-page booklet. And I had enough Amazon points on my stuff to get one, so I grabbed it. And
Yeah, I'm
it's-
going to have to get that for my collection.
yeah, I can't wait. It looks really cool.
So.
And there's the water that came
Oh,
from the
there you go.
spring.
Now, something that's really interesting about this spring water, there's no sediment in the bottom.
Mm-mm. There's
And
not.
you don't really see a lot of lines in the bottle where it's evaporated. So it's got to be pretty clean water.
Yeah, because that bottle of water is how old?
Oh,
It's
it's
been
from
sitting
the
there.
yeah, from like 50 some
60 years old,
1950
70.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
you
from the
would think
50s.
there would be some sediment settled out in there. And when you look at
Yeah,
it close, I can't see anything.
It's at least 75 years old. So it's just clean as could be.
I love the story of Buck Nelson too, because he claimed that when they landed, they zapped him, and he was known to have really bad uh, arthritis, so he was kind of crippled up. And he claimed when they zapped him, all the pain went away, and he was able to walk fine. And people in Mountain View confirmed, yeah, he was fine after that. And he always said that they had promised to come back and take him back with them. And at one point, as the years go by, he starts getting crippled up again, and he gets really depressed and says, I don't think they're coming back for me. And then not too long after that, his house mysteriously burns down. And then they lose track of Buck Nelson. There was the thought that he had gone to California, but no one's ever found any records. They haven't found burial records or Social Security records or anything, even though he had a pension. So nobody really knows what happened to him. So maybe they did come back and get him. Who knows?
They did.
Maybe they did.
I wouldn't mind a little zap for some of my joints as well, to be
Right?
honest.
It'd be handy. There's Jim.
Oh, there's Jim.
Yay.
Some fat guy on the left.
And if you look
Oh,
back
great.
behind Jim, you can see some of the drawings that
Yeah.
John
Oh,
Dean
yeah.
did.
And to be fair to Jim, that is how he's always dressed. That is not like some weird costume or something like
He's
that.
a working cowboy.
That is Jim Gray.
He's a cool dude.
Yep.
Very humble, very unassuming. He's an awesome
And
character.
he's very excited about the local history. So, I mean,
He
He
is.
certainly learned us a few things.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very, very interesting. And it's a very interesting look at 1950s and 60s UFO culture, which when you go back and look at some of the movies from that time where they talk about UFOs, like The Day the Earth Stood Still,
Mm-hmm.
when you look back at all this, it helps you understand the thought processes behind some of those movies and books. So it's definitely worth your time, even if that's your only reason. So, and there's quite a collection of stuff. I did find out Buck Nelson's book. You can actually find it, a reprint of that.
Yeah, there's a
On
PDF
Amazon.
of it online too.
Yeah, you can actually buy a copy on Amazon.
Or you can get a PDF too. And
Yeah.
it's not on the
for free.
yeah, for free. And it's not a
I like paper.
it's not a bad site. It's one that has the ability to redo those without getting in trouble.
Right. I love the new print on demand stuff that, they can take some of these out of print books and you can order them and Amazon prints them on demand. So,
Oh, here's a picture of Jim. Hang on. Let me pull this back up. It's got his high school picture along with it.
that's awesome.
There he is.
Yeah.
Hey,
That
look at that good looking dude.
Yeah. Handsome looking dude.
He is a gem. Jim is a gem.
He is.
He is a darn fine individual. I've got to say.
He is,
He
and he
is.
works way too hard.
yes,
He does. He does. He works a lot harder than I do. That's for sure. I work 6 days a week. He works pretty much 7.
He is
somehow
a
squeezed in an 8th day. I feel. In the
Yeah,
week.
he probably needs an 8th day. I don't know.
probably.
So they got
And there
stuff.
is something that's fun here. There she is.
Oh, there it is.
Hey,
She's
there
the
it is.
spam champ. The spam cupcake lady. Her name was Estelle Schmidt, and she actually won in 2000 the National Best Spam Recipe Award out of like 1,400 other recipes. And her recipe was featured on 10 million cans of spam. Pretty
Yay.
awesome. And she
And
was on the
just so
Rosie
y'all at
O'Donnell
home-
show.
Yeah, just so you all don't get too grossed out at home. It's not a sweet cupcake.
No,
It's a
savory.
meat cake, and the frosting on top is mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now it's delicious.
Right.
Yeah, it's a meal.
Yeah. It's like a meat pie. So because when I first saw it and I saw those pictures of the cupcakes up there, I just was like,
It's like, ugh.
seriously? It's like those weird grandmas who used to put vegetables in the Jello molds.
Yeah. She does that, and I'm going, hey, that doesn't sound bad.
They didn't have the recipe there, the specific recipe, I don't think, but I did find it online, and it was confirmed by her daughter that it was her recipe. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Always visit little small town museums. Pam and I always preach that to everyone. If you are out on a road trip and you go through a little town, stop in and see their little museum if they have one, because the best stuff is in those little small town museums.
You don't want to forget your past, and these little snippets of small town America are fantastic. They really are.
Oh, there's the French
The
bulldog.
stuffed dog. Yep. You can see you can see my backside there. No, and you can see the ventriloquist dummies in the back there.
Oh yeah, over here. I don't know if I got a better picture of them in here or not.
Well, stop showing my butt.
I was thinking about it today. I was just so busy doing other stuff. I never even went inside the museum this year.
I didn't either, and normally I do, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't get in there.
I did get in there.
I
I went to go buy a T-shirt, and unfortunately, I just left my T-shirt money in the donation deal because they didn't have one big enough for me.
Oh, And I
That's
love this
okay.
sign
They
that
need
says
money anyway.
"Spaceships Welcome." There used to be a UFO club that was based out of Hutchinson, I believe, but they would drive around with this sign in the back of their vehicles, hoping to catch the eye of. There was supposed to be at least 3 aliens living amongst uh, the population in that area at that time, and they wanted to let them know, hey, we're friendly. And then somebody made mention of maybe they weren't all friendly, and so people started taking them out of their vehicles just in case they didn't want to make themselves a target.
Well, I think that they probably aren't all friendly, honestly.
Oh,
All
not.
humans
Just
are
like
good.
people. We got good people, we got bad people.
Yeah.
These are pictures from last year.
We should
This is for
also
the,
say, now if you go to the museum, you'll get to see something that we donated.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, so we did like a little like folder booklet of all of the artwork from the airship flap from 1996 through 97, all the artwork we could gather, and we put it in a folder for them so they can have it there, and Jim was going to put it in the UFO room. So that'll be fun.
We found a ton of pictures. Jess did the picture finding mostly, and
Yeah, there is a bunch
found
of.
some really good ones.
Well, they were in all the newspapers all over the country at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're so fun. So fun. Propellers and whirligigs and doodads flying everywhere. It's great stuff.
I didn't remember you running across it, but I know I've run across a story where someone had one of these contraptions flying over their town, and they dropped an anchor, a physical anchor out onto the ground to try and like stop, I guess, and it didn't quite stop. It kind of drugged through a couple of buildings and knocked some corral fencing down, and they just pulled it back up. I was like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, there was so many stories we couldn't possibly tell them all. I mean, and there were some funny ones too. There was one I found out of Missouri, I believe. And they said that they came down to stop because they were so hungry. They hadn't eaten in a while. The people aboard the ship, and the person who was writing it said they made them some sandwiches and they didn't even say thank you. They just took them and left. They were like, they just came down and took my sandwiches and then left. Rude.
Hi, Sylvain.
What's the matter, you?
So many silly ones, but yeah, like we were talking about when we were doing the panel, so many of them are very silly, but so many of them are very much a UFO encounter. Metal sides and discs and great lights and strange sounds or no sounds and the Oz effect along with it. So
and the zipping away part of it as well. It's just, if it's a Zeppelin from some backyard scientist that's whipped this up in the garage, it's not zipping anywhere. If it's
and it's going to be noisy.
15 or 20 miles an hour, that's amazing.
Yeah, so many of those, but a lot of funny ones too. If you're interested in it, you should totally check it out at home. Just go and look it up. You'll find some fantastic stories and photos. I was glad that we did that.
It
one,
runs
it was
the
funny.
whole gamut of anything anybody says about these stories is probably true for at least part of the stories. There's obviously some that look like somebody may have actually seen a working airship or somebody's attempt at it. And then there's some of them that are obviously just made up. And then there's some of them, the ones that I'm really interested in, are the ones that sound like a modern UFO sighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I find interesting. So it's
we were speaking about maybe next year we'll do crop circles of Kansas.
Oh, that
sounds good.
Yep.
Because there's been a few, and we got lots of crops to put circles in.
Yeah,
that's true.
that's a good point.
That's an interesting study. Are wheat fields or cornfields better for crop circles?
I don't know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Which kind is it that fools Lou Elizondo into thinking they're giant saucers casting a shadow?
Oof.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lou.
Anyway, it was a fun time. I recommend anybody interested who's in Kansas or actually from where Genesio is, you could come easily from Colorado or Nebraska. Is right dead center in the middle of Kansas. So Nebraska is probably easier to come. You wouldn't have to drive any farther than we did.
No.
About 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it's right there.
It's pretty centrally placed.
It is.
It's a fun time. And like I said, it's for a good cause. These little museums need our help as much as we can give them. Because honestly, as silly as we get sometimes, we're all really into history.
Mhm.
And I hate to see all of this small town history just go away.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And if nothing
We need-
else, just go to meet Jim.
Oh, my
He's
goodness.
awesome.
by all means, support
He's
your
worth
own local museum.
Yeah.
Yes,
Call
Jim's
beforehand and set up a tour. You are more than likely to get Jim.
Mm-hmm.
He will be
Yep.
the one that's doing it. So, and tell him we said hi and we
Yes.
sent you.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Support
Before
these
we
guys,
leave-
support your local museum.
Before we leave, you need to show him our last picture because we showed him our leaving picture,
Dum, dum, dum.
our last group picture
Oh, from the house.
for the
If
house
you,
or from the restaurant.
Well, and as far
Oh,
as Jim
yeah.
goes, he will be at the Paracon this year, presenting
Yes, he will.
the recordings and things like
Mhm.
that. So you can catch Jim a couple of places.
This was actually our last picture.
Yeah,
That
And for some reason, I look like I have a broken neck. I don't know why I'm doing that.
well,
Well,
Looks
I'm
like
holding
I
on to the
just eaten
table.
a gigantic omelet is what it looks like.
I'm holding onto the table because I'm sliding off my seat. I was trying to get centered into the shot so Enzo had room, and I was about ready to fall over. And you can't really tell it here, but we are all exhausted.
We're so tired.
and we have
Yep.
just eaten a huge breakfast.
Yeah.
I didn't need to eat the rest of the day.
I didn't either.
Definitely not. I was full. Like an ABBA reunion.
Ian,
Thank you, Ian. I needed that.
wow.
That's hilarious. And not far off the mark.
Hey, we didn't sing this time, which is probably good for everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like Abba. Yeah. So
Absolutely, just like ABBA.
On the way home from where did we go, Mark? We were Pythian Castle in Missouri, and we
Yes.
had someone else riding with us that's not in our team, but she's also a paranormal investigator. She was playing on her phone,
She's
and Mark
never
and I
ridden with us again.
sang the entire way home, and neither one of us can carry a tune. So it
Not
was
even with a bucket.
terrible. She's not got in a vehicle with us since then.
I don't understand. I'm. It's sad, really.
It is sad, but it's hilarious because I get it. Too funny.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was bad. She
Well,
swears that's not the reason, but we're like,
We're pretty sure.
we're pretty sure. And there was the cutest little dog that was running around with the alien on its back.
Oh, we did not get a picture of him. Her.
I got
Yeah,
a
we did.
picture of that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've
okay.
got pictures somewhere.
Yep. I posted it on the Facebook post.
I got a bunch of pictures of it. Hang on a
I'm
second.
trying to pull up.
There was actually a couple dogs like that. There was a little one and there was a bigger one.
Oh, I didn't see the little one.
Me
Yeah.
neither. I'm not finding
Yeah,
it.
pull up my shared screen.
Sure.
Sure.
She
So,
was
of course, you
really
can,
well behaved.
The shirt on the gentleman on the right here, it was the owner of this dog.
It's
So
awesome.
great
I
already.
I'm a little jealous.
but
Yeah.
walking around
So
with a little
cute.
alien on a back.
Adorable.
Yeah, that's half the fun of this festival. People dress up and they bring their pets all dressed up. And
Oh,
of course,
I got so many compliments on my shirt. Everybody's like,
yeah, well, your shirt's great. And so is Mark's. So Mark's shirt's awesome too.
Yes.
And people like there's a parade after the festival. And people bring their parade floats up. Yeah, there's one of them there with the dinosaur and the alien. So you get to see those, and people are all dressed up in alien costumes and sparkly things. It's so much fun.
They have a lot of fun with. I mean, it's just amazing.
ah.
Yeah, there we
my
are.
Lord.
Actually,
Oh, there's the
I did
sidewalk.
include a little bit of the sidewalk here that I had. And you
Yeah.
can see
Got some
there's
funny
drawings
things.
all over it, all the way down to the front door, really.
Yay, which was the point. Man, throw some chalk out for free and people will eventually just start doodling.
Yeah,
And they had all sorts of
Absolutely.
fun sayings down there. Somebody put I want to believe and
Yep.
all sorts of great stuff.
yeah. It was pretty fascinating, and just everybody had fun. We may have had a little too much fun.
I was trying to all fit in the screen.
Yeah,
That's hilarious. We're terrible at taking selfies.
Yeah, it's
we
like
really need to buy a
well,
selfie stick.
this is what- maybe this
I'm
one.
only
I don't
5'2". Enzo, how tall are you?
know. 5'11".
Yeah, I'm 5'2". So Enzo's like, he's got the longest arm. He's taking the pictures, and we're like, scoot in, and you might have to duck down a little bit because you look like you're like way up here.
Well, at one point, he was
just
like, "Why
fucking
are
with
you guys bending down?"
Yes, exactly.
Because we were all like
They're all
leaning
leaning
in.
Yeah.
over. It's like, what are you doing?
We don't know. That's why you're there.
That's the problem. We don't know what we're doing. There we go.
Anybody
And then
who's
Enzo
listening to
bent
the
down.
show
Yeah,
knows we don't know
finally.
what we're doing.
And Enzo's face is like, "Look who I got stuck with. What is this?"
He's like
doing?
the oh god.
There is
do
not
I get
enough
out of this?
alcohol in the world to get through this.
What was the name of the
that's good
place
stuff.
we had breakfast at?
Skeet's
Remember the name of the place?
Steakhouse.
Skeet
Yeah.
Steakhouse. Yeah, fantastic breakfast. It was great.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know a place is good when you roll up at 9:30 in the morning and you can't find a parking place
Yep.
Yeah,
on a
it's
Sunday
packed.
morning.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it was good. Good stuff.
yeah. The place is packed all the time. So free shout out to Skeet Steak Shop. Excellent place to eat if you are in Hutchinson and are hungry for breakfast. And just judging from the menu, if everything on the menu is as good as breakfast, you should go anytime you're
For
there.
sure.
Maybe we should go to supper there next time we go.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I
I'd
forgot
love to
about
have
that because it's got
Have
it's
an
got
actual steak.
good home cooked meals on there.
We just got a thing back on our Airbnb. Pam and her guests are welcome back anytime. Yay!
Aw,
Yay.
yay!
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm
It's nice for the
definitely-
4th of July. We literally walked out to the sidewalk and could see the entire, local fireworks display right there.
Yeah, there's a picture of it. Throw that picture up. We're literally right across
There
the
you
street
go.
from the
Yep.
Cosmosphere. So that's an actual rocket.
Yep.
That's been
Kansas
used.
Cosmosphere. It's they have genuine, real NASA artifact and Russian artifacts, space artifacts in there, to include the original Apollo 13 capsule that returned Earth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah, and that's worth a trip all on its own. So
History of aviation and space travel so far, it's good. It's also the only outside of NASA proper space vehicle reclamation center. So if you find like an old spaceship on the bottom of the ocean, they can do that. They can do it. The Liberty Bell 7, they
Thank you.
refurbished, when it was found. And was that Gus Gordon? that when he landed, he popped the hatch and it filled full of water and sunk, and he had to bail out of it. And they retrieved it many years later off the bottom of the ocean,
Yeah.
and that's where they refurbished it.
I remember
Yep.
getting on, because it was webcams were a whole new thing to me at the time. We would get on and watch. You could watch live as they did the conservation on it through the whole process.
It was
You can actually watch them in the building. The conservation is
Yep.
in the
it's all
center.
glassed in, and you can look
And
in
you
there.
can
and see
watch it. My daughter took, she was a permanent fixture there in the summer. She took all of their space camps, and she got to see them and touch parts of the Liberty several times. But you can
Nice.
go in there and watch them. They're working on stuff 24/7 for
Did
NASA.
she sneak a dime out of there? Was it dimes or nickels? I forget now.
Times.
I don't remember,
Mercury
but
dime.
yeah. They
Yep.
got to handle a little bit of it, so she kind of has that under her belt. Something really cool to be
That's
able to
awesome.
say. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I don't have much else to say except if you get a chance to head to Genesio next year and go to UFO Day, I highly recommend it. It is a lot of fun. A lot of fun people. You'll probably get to see us and other fantastic guests.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a good time for sure.
it definitely
fun.
is. And by all means,
It's a great way to celebrate Kansas too, part of our history. And
by
We're
all
not, we're not
means,
sure what
come visit
the
us.
plan is for next year, being on the 4th of July is Saturday. So I'm not sure what Jim's going to do there.
Yeah, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Half a millennium. So
pretty cool.
I remember the bicentennial as a kid in 1976, and the entire year, everything was red, white, and blue. The entire year.
yeah, I
Flags
remember
everywhere the entire year.
going down to watch the Liberty train with the Liberty Bell on it pass through town when I was a kid. So that was fun
That's cool.
because they took the Liberty Bell on a tour of the United States, and it didn't stop in my town, but we found out when the train was supposed to go through. Somewhere at my mom's house, there may still be a squashed penny from the tracks from the Liberty train.
Oh, wow.
Freedom
That's a pretty
train.
good idea. I didn't even think about that.
Fun.
So, a bunch of us, it's not, you're not supposed to do that because you could theoretically cause a derailment.
Right.
But a bunch of us did. And so there were some squashed pennies from the Liberty train, Freedom train, I guess they called it, carrying the Liberty Bell. And all of the, because they would set up in different towns, they'd set up a whole exhibit, and it was all loaded up onto the train and went to the next town. So it was pretty cool. All right. I don't have anything else. You guys got anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
Nope. Just shout out to Tony. She's watching us on Facebook. Hi, Tony. She's commented a few times. I didn't realize it. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
We're bad. All right, guys. Well, until next time, next week, what are you guys talking about on
Border Town
Strange?
Strange. We're talking about like kind of what we're talking about tonight, the intaglios. We're going to be talking about like Hevner runes and the Anubis caves. We're going to be doing some just of the local ancient geographical kind of stuff. It should be really
I
fun.
can't wait.
It'll be
All
fun.
right. And week after that, for On the Fringe, we're going to be discussing the Taos hum and other hums heard worldwide.
It's going to be a humdinger.
Hum,
Red Robin.
Red Robin. I'm not even charging them for that plug. It's free advertising. So, all right, guys. Everybody, Have a great evening. Keep it strange, keep it weird, just like the girls say. And we'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Night.
night.